Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way.
Welcome to Footwork.
All right, welcome back to Footwork Podcast, where the takes don't matter and we're always wrong. But today, there's going to be no hot takes. Actually, I know Jack's got a few hot takes with his list. He's anti-pop. But we figured what's 100th anniversary without, showing our roots in this game and showing the 100 players who've influenced us the most. So this is not necessarily the best players. They might not break into the top 1,000 on any list, but they're the 100 that influence us the most. Pro player. So no, unfortunately, Coach Ian Byrne is not on this list for anyone, I don't think, even though Wags is pictured under the Red Dragons field right there. Yeah, perfect. But I mean, I'm excited for this one. So I mean, if anyone else has got something to add about their players, we're gonna run through it.
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Get right into it.
Love it. Okay, so I'm gonna name 4 and then give you a little spiel on one that really cracked the top, and that's how we're gonna run through this. So we're gonna go Ronaldinho, Clint Dempsey, Vidic, Thierry Henry. Those are the 4. And then I'm going to give a little spiel about Andres Iniesta, who really influenced my ability to turn. I don't know if you guys know the circle turn outside of the right foot was just that's kind of, I feel like, the play that made me a little bit in college. It just
makes
kind
a lot
of
of sense in my head now.
My signature move. And Andres Iniesta, I'm not sure there's many players who have influenced my game. I'm not saying I play like him, but there's not many that influence him in terms of how I want to play with confidence on the ball and be able to pick that pass, get out of tight spaces, and really just influence a game even without scoring. I've never been the biggest scorer, but how do you influence a game without scoring? That's Andres Iniesta for me. And that's why he's one of my favorite players of all time. And so 4 and 1, we go right on to Sean. I know these are going to be some brutes with some grit.
This is
a lot of gritty players.
No specific order
Pure
here,
pop.
but
Pure pop.
we're going R9, Gerard, Vidic, John Terry, and then Sergio Ramos is my guy that I'll have to touch on a little bit. Just to keep it short, I mean, he played outside back, center back. He incredible defender, aggressive, but also brings goals. And yeah, growing up, that was like the guy who I tried to be most like.
It's his nickname.
He's still
too,
playing
so
today.
It's one of his nicknames.
And yeah, there you go. That's it.
Does the red cards influence you too, or what?
No, I try not to
He
follow
left
that
out the
aspect of him.
How many do you have in your entire career? Yellow cards is countless.
Just one
in
in club. I got one in club, but it was a double yellow, so it doesn't even count. That's
fake.
God.
Oh, it counts.
That's a fake. That's a
Not
fake.
in
red.
Sergio Ramos' eye. That's a
Count
fake
on the
one.
Ramos tab though.
It's a
Yeah.
fake red. I like those though. Those some very quality players. Jack, you have the most interesting list out of all of us.
It's a wild list.
It's interesting though because you don't have the same type of soccer background as the other 3
Correct.
on this panel, and I think that's what you bring to this even more, especially in this list. So let's hear yours. 4 and 1.
Well, I'll just speak to that real quick. That I did get the late jump to the soccer bug, I guess you would say. I only started playing when I think it was like 8th grade or something like that, 9th grade. Really started following it probably junior, senior year. Right, I like playing and whatnot.
Love that,
but like
now
I said,
he's one of our experts.
Yeah, right. Caught the bug. So reading through this list, you're gonna like kind of laugh at some of these, but also too, how I started out. It was, figuring out players and all that stuff. It was, FIFA and figuring out, very rarely watching Premier League. So
Fox Soccer days.
ripping through again, no order or anything. I have Salah on there, Robin van Persie, Luis Suarez, Sergio Ramos as well.
Ballers.
But the one I have to speak to is Steven Gerrard. He's my guy. He's You know, everything that I like love about soccer was because of Gerrard. You know, when I was in high school, I wore number 8 because of him. I used to watch this YouTube video of Steven Gerrard. You know,
the highlight one is crazy.
He wasn't the, you know, he's not a
Forever.
spectacular player, right? He just works his ass off. He, you know, will track back on defense, but I'll tell you what, watching some of those videos, some of the balls he would hit and, you know, score in big matches. You know,
Not many can ping a ball like Steven Gerrard, I'll tell you what.
No, and
I tell you that.
You know, like I said, he was kind of the reason behind, you know, following soccer and pushing through. So
love that. A lot of Liverpool influence on that early first 4. I also love the RVP. The RVP is great. Before Wags, we go into yours. I want to give you just the quickest question, and you have to answer right on the fly. Okay? Lampard, Gerrard, Scholes, bench 1, start 1, cut 1. Oh, just Wags.
Today's game, bench and Scholes.
Bench and Scholes. Okay, today. All right.
I'm cutting Frank, and I'm starting Gerrard.
All right, we move right on.
Yeah.
No, I don't want an explanation. I don't want no explanation from you. Everything's biased. 4-1, Wagsy. I can't wait to hear your list because you're the one person who didn't go on the Google Docs.
I just have a couple, prefaces. There's going to be a Chelsea contingent. I'm going to get those all out of the way. They won't come back.
Anyone who knows Wags knows that he used to be a Chelsea fan, and it's
His
buried
plastic.
deep dark in his past.
Secondly, I left the keepers off the list, but Petr Cech and Dida will get mentioned before I begin. That's it.
Honorable mentions. The only keepers, aren't they? That's sad.
And we'll go Brad.
Even our
keeper.
keeper won't fucking pick the keepers.
So the first 5 start off as a Chelsea contingent. I have Ramires of Brazil.
Wow.
No explanation. John Obi Mikel was just, just a beacon of hope for me. John Terry, Florent Malouda, the Frenchman.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is 6. The next one will be 4. Joe Cole gets a mention. Joe Cole was my first guy. And then, of course, Didier Drogba. Obviously, we know with me.
His name?
From Chelsea.
Yeah,
that's
just
6.
named like
the next
10.
is only 4. Next is only 4.
Makes his own path. It's okay.
That was 6. And then,
path.
okay, whatever. Yeah, I mean, Wags came up with the structure too, and then just totally went off script.
Chelsea contingent 6. Next is only 4. We're good.
I have to say though, never was a Chelsea fan. Even though I have some Chelsea players on my list too, I think, but I always did like Ramires. I always was a fan of his game. We're going on to my next ones. A couple pop, a couple not. Messi. It's tough to have him not on a list. I know, like, maybe you don't want to because, whatever, but it's Messi. Getting to see him live too. Sorry, that's not even the one I'm supposed to talk about. Zidane. So quickly, him against Brazil semifinals of the World Cup is the reason why I wanted to become a complete midfielder too. I've never seen someone dominate a game so much from an 8 position like that. Ruud van Nistelrooy, DeMarcus Beasley, the utility man of all utility men. Just loved the heart that he brought to the U.S. jersey. And the one that I'm going to talk about even more, speaking of U.S., Landon Donovan. Just the U.S. player that I grew up on, even before Clint. Love Clint. He's also on this list too. But Landon Donovan scoring that goal, in the World Cup against, was it Slovenia? Algeria, just roofing the net. Just like, I mean, one of the best soccer memories I've ever had from a watching standpoint. Loved his game. Never truly made it in Europe, but still icon in the American game. That's my next 4-1. So that's 10 players there. Sean, I know you're sticking to script too. You're not Wags, so let's hear some more Chelsea.
And this has a bit of a German bias. Maybe I had this back then. We're starting off with Mika Ballack. What an animal on Chelsea.
Oh, animal.
Zidane, David Silva, Yaya Toure. Talk about a utility player. He is the highest of the order.
Watch
and then
Yaya
Bastian Schweinsteiger
on YouTube.
The German animal. And he was a very, very big influence for me. In addition to my next one, He had a quote, and I would love to find it in German now that we speak German, but it was like when he was a youth player, he was like told like technique and tactic was all important and stuff, but it was like he had to cover every blade of grass in order to be like the most effective for his team, despite his ability. And like the fact that that's how he played. And yeah, it's what I just tried to play like. Especially in club, because I was playing on the 6, the same position as him. That was like my role model.
Yeah. I mean, even regardless of the footballing standpoint, how good he was, the mentality is like,
right.
Those are the good people to follow when you're. Makes sense, Sean. Just kind of knowing you now, it makes sense. Some of these people. Yeah, it does. All right, Jackie, I'm here for the indie top 25.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have to preface it every time I list like guys off, because people are gonna be like, where, why, you know?
You can give a little bit.
You don't.
You know? We're not looking for much, but you know.
All right. So next 4, a little bit of influence, like Dill said, you know, getting into it, you know, USA, you know, following USA was big. So one of them falls in here, but I'm gonna go Samuel Eto'o was one of them.
Class.
That's FIFA. That's just FIFA. He was an absolute animal.
Yeah.
So good in FIFA.
Yeah. Andre Ayew.
This one's hilarious.
A Swansea legend, Ghana legend.
Get him on the pod, Jack, please.
I wish. Aguchi Onyewu. I don't know if I.
The Gooch, bro.
Yeah.
The Gooch, man.
Is solidified the back. And then I had Diego Forlan. Again,
one of the best shots. One of the best rippers, man.
What World Cup was it? Was the same one as Landon?
2010, the Jubilani.
2010, yeah.
Oh my God.
Jubilani, it was the Jubilani World Cup.
That was
what a
that was the
World
come up of just like, you know, me getting into soccer and watching him. I was just like, this guy, unbelievable.
I grew
so good.
But the one I'll talk about is my man Jozy Altidore. I have to talk about him, and Bryce shakes his head. You know, we have a local watering hole here, and we used to go to trivia night every single night. And the owner's a big USA soccer fan. And anytime we didn't know an answer, we wrote down Jozy, and he'd list it off every single time. He'd just be like, Jozy, yeah. And it's just one of those things.
That's classic, correct.
It was correct every single time. But
capital of Georgia.
Was the 8 years ago when we had the World Cup, you know, Wagsy and I were in our, you know, our prime years of 20, 21 years old, and you know, yelling at the bar, cheering on, and there I am in a Jozy Altidore jersey, collar and all.
I love that. Do you still have the Jozy? Do you still have it?
It does not fit. I think it's still here, but it does not fit. You know, I'll
Venmo you. I'll Venmo you. All right.
You want a jersey swap?
We'll do a jersey swap.
Finally?
Yeah.
All right.
I gotta get one. Yeah, I gotta get one for you. But yeah, we'll do a jersey for Jozy. Because I mean, Jozy in his later years, I was always like, why is he getting picked? But in terms of dominance in U.S. forwards, like he's kind of up there in the history of U.S. Like I don't know many forwards that are gonna go down.
As we keep going through, I'm gonna look up his career goals for USA, because what is he? He's probably top 3.
Bottle. That's better.
Yeah, probably.
Anyway.
Fun fact too is he was like discovered, wasn't he, on the like in between a highway? We'll check that story too, but I'm pretty sure like he was playing like on a field or something, and in the middle of nowhere, or like in between a highway, something like this. Maybe I'm wrong. And just got scouted like out of nowhere. Someone saw, it was like, this guy is a, you know, animal, and he's good with his feet, and then he like came up from there. I mean, that's probably the Hollywood version. I'm not really sure, but yeah.
USA 42 goals, 14 assists, 42 goals.
Wags, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie, and so actually numbers lie too, because Wags is given 6 or 7 at a time. But Wags,
what this time?
All right, fair enough. What's your next? Let's give you your next spiel.
Technically, if Jozy Altidore and his story was like found under a bridge, and like he could have just been playing a great game of club soccer on Randall's Island, right? Like
that's true. Yeah, it depends on what bridge. Yeah, good call.
Hollywood version could have been.
It's the Remember the Titans version of something.
Yeah. So I tried to not tried to not duplicate, so you won't see Zizou or Yaya, even though they're up there. But so this 4, Diego Forlan, that 2010 World Cup was just insane.
What a head of hair too, huh?
The volley out of the air, catching in the ground. Papa Bouba Diop, that's not a pop name. Papa Bouba Diop, Senegal international, Fulham midfielder, played DCM, world class.
I mean, world class is we can debate on that, but yeah, how did you come across him as so influential in your
Ayegbini Yakubu of Middlesbrough? What a stud from Nigeria. Yeah. That's for Kyle Baker. And then the one I want to talk about is Ricardo Quaresma, the king of curve.
Ooh.
Mr. 5-star skills, Mr. 1-star weak foot. Everything about him.
Only outside of the right foot.
Didn't matter. Outside of the right was just as good.
Outside right, Rabona Cross, that's what he did. I mean, I think he's still playing somewhere, but Porto legend. One of the FIFA games, he ended up on Chelsea on loan, and he played like 5 games for him.
You know how like lefties never have a right foot? He was like the one right-footed player who never had a left and would do the same thing a lefty would do. Just everything they had to do to not play with their weak foot.
Well, isn't it pretty much Salah? Salah never goes right.
Well, any left-footed, not every, but most left foots find a way to just shift their balance. Us right-footed players always had to learn 2 feet, but not lefties, I guess.
I have to learn both.
Yeah, well, you got a long career ahead of you, Jack.
You're just getting started.
Wags, I like that list. I like that list. There's definitely some ballers in that one. Heading on from mine, I loved him even before he was so hilarious on the podcast. But Peter Crouch is there. Puyol, the animal, one of my favorite center backs, probably my favorite center back just in terms of everything. Wesley Sneijder had a very, very big positive influence on me as a midfielder goal scorer, like trying to get those shots outside. Not saying it ever worked with me, but it was definitely a huge influence. And Chicharito, I loved his run making and I loved his work ethic at United. Although I did not like, if you guys saw recently what he did. Just diving the other night in MLS, just acting like he completely got attacked. But yeah, that's not even the top one. We're gonna go R9, El Fenomeno, the real Ronaldo, as some say.
Had his hairstyle.
I wanted his hairstyle, and my mom wouldn't let me, but I did wear the Brazil jersey to the yearbook pictures or the class picture. I had his cleats in silver with the R9 on the flap. The step overs, everything in my early game of trying to be a forward and trying that love of the game. And 2002 World Cup, 2002, right, in Korea? Yeah. Waking up early, like 4 a.m. and watching the final and having just a very bare minimum of it because, I mean, Sean and I were 8 at that time. So like the memory is thin, but I do remember waking up for that, seeing the final. I believe he either had, I'm not sure if he had golden boot, maybe it was closer, but I mean, he did win, score in the final twice, I believe. So yeah, I mean, R9, just what an impact on my love for football. And that's why he's there and one of the ones that steals some of the spotlight. Shawnee?
Yeah, keep it going with Michael Essien, who's similar to Schweinsteiger, same type of influence.
A lot of these types of players, yeah.
I gotta mention Conte. It's a more recent one, but just respect the mentality.
That's good.
Then Iron Robbins, kind of one different position, but yeah, I just liked the attacking ability of him. Pirlo and Kaká. These are 2 that I kind of tossed up to talk about. I'm going to stick with Kaká on this.
Anyway, with Kaká.
Just because I feel like during his time, that era, he was like a player where you watched and every time he got the ball, you were excited something was going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
Similar to like a Messi, not on Messi's level, but it was just like everything was, first off, so smooth.
I mean, just maybe not on his level of consistency over the years, but like that same feeling when he picked up the ball on a half turn from midfield.
Right. Yeah. So
which team with Kaká were you
in my mind, I'm
the AC
thinking
Milan
AC
days?
Milan days. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just seeing him in that jersey.
He had this one pass too. The right back played him, and he had it like his back to goal, and he did like the half turn spin.
Yeah,
he like pirouetted with the ball and then put the guy
Yeah.
through and behind.
Class.
Just
What's
class.
that? Some great picks there. A little bit of flash, a little bit of hard workers. Essien was a fan favorite too. Jack?
All right. So just to rip through, I got CR7 in there. Henry, Ronaldinho. Kind of a little bit of repeats there, and then DeMarcus Beasley as well. Right? It's that USA, love, growing up. And then again, here comes a non-pop pick. One of my guys, Xherdan Shaqiri. Absolutely love him.
Hey, I was waiting for Shaqiri.
It just, I make jokes about it and all this stuff, but I mean, when I first started liking Shaqiri when he was at Stoke, then he comes to Liverpool. I don't know. I don't know if he ever met his full potential. He plays great for Switzerland, and I would say that I'm like, if it's not USA, I'm rooting for Switzerland. I don't know why, but it's just.
Hey, players do that.
Yeah.
That's what these players do, man. Yeah.
But he balls out for him. He was captain for a while, but then obviously I don't, know the whole story behind it. But, I just don't know if he got the, fair shake, I guess. Or like I said, like got to his max potential. Obviously he's in the MLS now, but I just always liked that he was just like a little bowling ball. He's what, 5'8", but he's just a unit. I mean,
thighs.
Shaqiri have very similar body styles for those.
That guy. I mean, it's just one of those things. Like I've always followed him around, and always hoping for the best, and hopefully he gets a shake for Switzerland in the World Cup. But who knows? He probably will come off the bench or something. But
yeah, you never know. Like you said, he's one of those players though that's really been so monumental for them. I loved him at Stoke too, Jack. I loved him at Stoke. It was such the Stoke game. Like, the whole joke about can you do it on Stoke on a rainy Tuesday or whatever it's great, but like I just always remember Shaqiri just cutting in like
left foot.
You couldn't get it off him just because the thighs were thicker than Squidward after all those Krabby Patties, if that comes to your mind.
What a reference.
Great reference. I loved Shaqiri, and I'm kind of upset I didn't put him on my list either, but I think that's what's great about this whole class group effort, this group project effort to get 100 players.
And also too, I'm getting into like the muck pretty soon here, so
it's dark after this.
It's getting weird.
It's dark after this.
Wagsy, and then I got time for one more round table. So you guys are gonna have to come up with 5 beyond, after me. Try to name my 5 current favorite players and see how it goes.
We will do that. I like that. All right,
so
give us
USA contingent. I got the Gooch on the board. I mean, there was this. That's why I fell in love with rowing, and I apparently fell out of love with rowing as well. But so Gucci Onyewu, Landon Donovan, we've already been over that. Camus from there. And Kobe Jones is a reference there for me.
That's a great one. That's a great one.
I asked my mother, she came over to
what a head of hair.
Obsessed with Kobe. And I was like, Kobe Bryant, Mom, he's Kobe. And then it clicked, Kobe Jones.
C-O-B-I.
Abby Wambach.
Backyard soccer, shout out.
Abby Wambach is a great shout.
My friends and I have a reference of if any game you're playing, Wambach means clip that shit back, post, get up. And then the one I want to talk about is Eddie Pope. Eddie Pope, center back. Maybe in a different time he ends up playing. You look at Tim Ream. Tim Ream's on Fulham doing okay. So maybe in a different era, Eddie Pope ends up on Brentford in the 5, looking great. But
good call.
That's with 23 Eddie Pope as a kid. So that's my American contingent there.
Love that. Well, Wagsy, we thank you. I know you were getting your steps in before, and now you got to go coach Oneonta to some wins.
Yes. So
we'll guess your last 5.
3 more names before I depart. Djibril Cissé, Mario
Ooh,
Balotelli and
Streets don't
Ronaldinho.
forget.
My childhood
Streets
is
don't
not-
forget the first one. Wow.
Yeah, my childhood is not
Hmm.
complete with the Digital C
I
say
hear you.
Balotelli, Ronaldinho.
Why always
Okay.
me? Ronaldinho. Flavor.
I gotta
all
go
of it.
end the pod on
Yeah.
trying to name my favorite 5 current players.
On it. Wags, thanks for joining us.
Well,
Good
that'll
luck
be
today,
a
bud.
nice fun.
Getting 3 points on the board today, boys.
Absolutely. Talk soon, Brian.
Yes, for sure.
All right, we're moving right along. Brian's busy these days, you know?
He is.
Hard to
Yeah.
get the coach down for more than a minute. Some great ones there too. Cisse, I mean, if we can all remember that goal. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unreal. That's going to be clipped onto
Against
this
Chelsea,
YouTube
wasn't
one
it?
for sure.
Had
Yeah,
to.
against Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Moving right along for mine, I have Nani, who I think is one of the most underrated players. Put up similar stats to Ronaldo at United. Probably, I think even better, actually. We'll get that clipped here too. Amazing one. Dennis Bergkamp, who again, I loved just his style of play, his movements, just one of the smartest players I watched. Yaya Toure, you guys all mentioned him. Neymar, I know he gets a lot of shit, but Neymar is just unreal picking up the ball. Brian's back. Interesting.
I've had a shocker. Dimitar Berbatov. Forgot to reference him.
Love that. That is a great one, and I'm so pissed I
that's
didn't
fair.
put that down.
Streets will never forget the Berbatov scoop on the end line golazo. Goodbye.
Who had a better touch?
And he's
Thank
on.
God for this group. Thank God for this group project, bro. That's a
Yeah.
great shout.
It is.
Great shout. Yeah, it was on Neymar. I just love how he glides with the ball. Is one of my favorite players to watch still. And lastly, we're gonna go Ji-sung Park, a baller for those who know the amount of work ethic a player can put in. Just one who inspired me. Just
Yeah.
showing what it's like to leave everything on a pitch and do a job for a team, and finding the glory in that instead of always being the one that shines. Just, I mean, he did everything. He was always guarding the best player. He was always breaking up play, passing into the lines. Just one of those who, again, I think even influences me a little bit more now in my game than maybe before, when I was a little bit more of a 10 who liked to be a creator. Now I find myself more doing both sides of the ball. And I just feel like he's a huge influence for me. Watched some highlights on him a few weeks ago. It's mad. Shawnee, back to you.
Yeah. We're going off to a little La Liga influence here. Well, this was Fernando Torres by Liverpool, 2010 World Cup. He was a demon. Eden Hazard, a Chelsea best player in the league, probably in the world, outside of course, the two, Messi, Ronaldo. Then you have Marcelo, Dani Alves, the two most entertaining outside backs to play in the 21st century. Point. Period.
Facts. Yeah.
And then Carlos
No debate.
Puyol. He's the guy, no debate. Of course, played in an amazing team, but he undersized center back, just a leader. I mean, he really just won tackles. That was his job. Didn't do anything fancy with the ball. Kind of a utility man, especially in the beginning. He played outside back as well, left and right back. And yeah, what a guy. I mean, that kind of idol to look at, especially that generation where every center back was massive. And here he is, probably 5'10" on a good day.
Yeah.
Hair just as long.
Incredible. Exactly.
Hair
Love
long,
that.
money long.
Yeah.
Hair long, money long. That's true. He's definitely got a long money clip. Jack, you're next. Bunch.
All right. Just to repeat Sean a little bit, Fernando Torres is on there. Just the Gerrard influence when he was at Pool. I just, he was, part of that. Jermaine Defoe was on there.
Ooh, good one. I loved when he partnered with
Again,
Crouch,
I
too.
think I have a theme here too. It's one, Stoke, and then two, I think I have a thing for like just smaller, attackers that just find ways to score. And Jermaine Defoe was that guy.
Love that.
Hell of a FIFA player too. I have Antoine Griezmann. I don't know. I just love, again, kind of the same. I want to say the same, probably same build, but kind of different players.
Shame the circumstances he's in right now.
Yes,
it's a shame.
I agree.
Yeah.
Again, I think he's still got more to give, but again, time kills, right? I mean, he's getting
time
up there
kills. Yep.
Right. And then again, Swiss influence, Granit Xhaka. I love him.
That's such an interesting one, bro.
What a shout out.
You won't hear many non-Arsenal diehards talk about Xhaka.
Again, I think it's that Swiss thing. I'm a fan or a
you got to get out to Switzerland, bro. That's got to be the next family trip.
Yeah. But no, I just it's just one of those things. I like players that, in a sense, don't take shit, right? And he's just one of those guys that really doesn't to an extent, like it's gonna hurt the team at times, but he's gonna be that guy that you want on your team, but you don't want to play against, right? He's gonna go hard through tackles, that kind of stuff. But again, the one I really want to ramble on about is Conor Coady. I bring him up almost every pod that we're on, but I got to respect a guy that he doesn't have the pace, to play center back at nowadays, and but just to watch him, play balls out of the back, it reverts back to him at Liverpool when he was a midfielder, coming through. I mean, he hit a ball last week over the top for an assist, right? And the ball.
Oh yeah, true.
But just to watch his leadership, right? You wouldn't think of Conor Coady being, the Wolves captain for so long. Unfortunately not there, but
but still in your heart.
Good time to get out.
It is. He went
exactly. It is a good time.
Home, getting closer to home. So Conor Coady's my, I guess, quote unquote top 5.
Top 5. I love that. Is he a top 5? Is he a top 5 center back for England?
Well, what was it? They were doing the friendlies last year, or the Euros, when they were doing those friendlies to get prepared, or the qualifiers. When they were playing a 5-back system, he was front and center.
He's a 5-back. He's a 5-backer.
Well, you have to cover for him. So
with that, unless you just put the speediest.
Yeah. But the thing was too, they gave him I think they gave him, it was I don't know what they call it, but the captain's room or something like that. It was Jordan Henderson, the leadership group. And it was Jordan Henderson and Conor Coady, and I think there was one more. So to think
Verdi's a great leader, great locker room guy.
Maybe not start, or he's going to be a reserve, to be, I guess, honored to be on a leadership group. I mean, it's a testament to it. So
love that. And now we have to, I don't know how many Wags actually said in his whole rambling thing, but we have to guess 5 of his.
We get through ours first, and then we just go to his. Because we could probably go,
let's
lift ours up, and then,
All right, so my last 4 and then my special guest are Clint Mathis, back to my Metro Stars days, seeing some of my first live professional soccer animal back then. Beckham, one of the reasons I fell in love with Manchester United. When you're a kid, this is a global icon. Mario Götze, actually, in a more recent form, coming back to it, playing for Frankfurt now, but he inspired the whole magista and creative midfielder phase that I was in. Loved that. Van der Vaart, loved his just style on the ball. I loved watching him at Tottenham. Never a Tottenham fan, but I loved that team for some reason. And I was a big fan of his. And my last person to talk about is none other than the DC United coach, and that's Wayne Rooney. Just one of, he really is probably a top 3 favorite player of all time for me. I loved everything about his game. Didn't take shit. Always worked hard. Selfish when he needed to be. Didn't care about always getting the glory. Maybe too much of a hothead at sometimes, but you can't keep a good guy down. So
lost some hair player.
Of course. Yeah.
I got it back.
He didn't need the hair plugs at first. No, but Rooney he'll go down as, I think he's, as much as he's rated, I still think he's a little underrated, if that makes sense to you guys, in terms of
we had some
who you put on the mountain.
Bad times too, right?
That too, yeah. But who you put on the Mount Rushmore of like Premier League forwards? I just feel like everyone's always quick to say Henry and Shearer and now Kane, and I feel like Rooney starts to filter off on that. But I feel like he should be right in that discussion. So Wayne Rooney for me. Sean, your last 4 and your special guest.
Yeah, we're going Drogba, Ronaldinho, Messi, Iniesta. We don't have to talk much about them. And then this one, I don't know. Maybe he is appreciated, but Xavi, he's just like the most intelligent player.
The most probably.
And it's not that he's going to score goals or get an assist, but just to keep possession. The man never needed to sprint. He always took the touch in the right direction. He never lost the ball. And like
you never see him sweating.
Yeah, you really have to play the game in order to appreciate that. It doesn't matter even the level. Like when you just try and play pickup soccer and try to play like him, just never lose the ball and always be in space. That's so difficult to do. And
to play with him on a 5-a-side, I would spend so much money to play on a 5-a-side game with him. Like so much money.
Right.
He's one of those players.
I think it's just overall that Spain grouping for years, right? Like that whole team
playing 7 midfielders in a semifinal in the Euros.
Sure.
7 center midfielders.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a great shout though, Sean. I love the Xavi influences. I mean, ballers now, and I mean he does get rated, but like he's up there on smartest players of all time. I just feel like just so intelligent.
Yeah.
So clever. That's the definition of work smart, not hard, and not even a bad way. Like he didn't need to. Love that.
Yeah.
Jackie
boy, I've heard this list gets dark. I don't know about that.
Yeah, to wrap it up, so I'm going to put in parentheses here, Tottenham, Gareth Bale. Okay.
Yeah, or I mean, he was still so good at Real Madrid, especially the first years.
Absolutely, but just like
influence on you, you're saying.
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Just the pace he had when he was at Tottenham, my God, when he was younger. Whew.
Mm-hmm.
I have Beckham on there. Again, when I was starting to get into soccer, obviously Beckham's like one of the biggest names.
He's the icon,
have a LA Galaxy long sleeve Beckham jersey. Got it.
Nice.
Don't have it anymore. Can't jersey swap. And then the two that kind of get a little dark. All right. Martin Skrtel.
Yeah, man. What a great bruiser. Talk about grit.
That's a 2-footed tackle breaking a leg.
Yeah, and I can always just picture him with the head wrap because he's always
always bleeding from the head.
Always,
yeah.
And my last one, I have his jersey, Andy Carroll. He was a poacher. I mean, I think he's still
poacher,
gimping around, but he was just one of those guys that I don't know. I took a liking to, and kind of contradicting myself with the smaller attackers. Andy Carroll is just a unit.
Yeah, he's the opposite.
Yeah. But the one I want to talk about goes back to the Liverpool influence was Philippe Coutinho.
God.
When he was at Liverpool, he was, now paying attention more, that young up and coming kid with, Sterling when he was there. But when Coutinho was there, like the stuff he was doing again, kind of playing in front of Gerrard at that time, just again, watching me trying to pay attention to Gerrard, I couldn't take my eyes off of Coutinho. The guy was, a superstar. And again, it's just one of those, I guess, stories where I don't think he met the full potential. And I guess I would say he got the short end of the stick at Barca. But again,
shouldn't have left.
Not a good run of form right now. But it would be nice if he turns it around a little bit at Aston Villa. But we'll see. Like I said, he's just one of those shouts that I had to throw in there.
I love that.
The highlight reel was.
That's the greatest. That's the best. That's how I explain him too. Is before a game, if I'm looking to watch like the highlight thing to kind of pump myself up, there's not many more to go to than Philippe Coutinho for me. That's like my first inclination is Coutinho at Liverpool highlights. Run it. Just run it. Oh my God.
Stupid to watch. Yeah.
It's so stupid. Some great stuff in there. I love this list, boys. I really liked the collab effort. I know as you guys have heard out there, that there are some repeats, but of course, you know, who are we to say Jack and I both can't be influenced by the man Beckham, the God, you know? So that's why we're able to connect all of those. And before we leave, let's name Wags' 5 favorite players.